Good morning, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Now, my last video, which was on my entire record collection, got a few more views than I was sort of expecting it to, which isn't saying much. I usually average between, 3 and 7% of my subscriber count, which is tragic in and of itself. But it was very nice to see people respond so positively to it, and just on the off chance that anyone watching this video is a new subscriber from last week, thank you very much for subscribing and watching my content. It's incredibly inconsistent. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my collection in this video, and I'm going to discuss the 3 film scores that I own on vinyl that are my favorites and are the ones that mean the most to me. One quick caveat to add though is that my Lord of the Rings complete recordings trilogy are not part of this list, because obviously if they were, then those would be the 3. So the first record on this list, which is also the very first record that I bought in physical format, is the score to Dances with Wolves by the late John Barry. As well as being one of my favorite films, this has always been one of my favorite film scores. I think the music in this is second to none in terms of its storytelling, its emotional impact, and because of the era it's from and the fact that it's all done, with real instruments, a real orchestra, it kind of makes it timeless. And some film music that is really synth heavy or electronic I absolutely love, but I'm always worried about film scores that utilize components of genres that are popular in that era. It means that if in 20 years time you listen to it again, it might just sound a bit dated, and you're never going to have that problem with something like Dances with Wolves. Now, it's a beautiful high quality gatefold sleeve, but there's absolutely nothing printed inside it, and I thought that that was, a little bit of a waste considering how good the cinematography was for this film. They could have easily put some kind of epic panoramic still from the film in there, but it doesn't really matter, does it? And then credits and images on the back. The records are in high quality plastic sleeves. It's on black 180 gram vinyl. I'm not going to get them out of the sleeves. I don't really want to handle them too much. I'm very careful with this record, and this one cost me a lot of money. At the time that I bought it, it was the most expensive record I bought. I think it was about 69, 79 pounds. And I'm aware that you can get copies of this for significantly cheaper than that now, but I think that my copy is special because this is, 180 gram vinyl, but it's at 45 RPM, and it's been remastered for vinyl from the original analog tapes. So it just sounds really good, and it said it was limited edition as well when I bought it, and I hope that it actually was, and that they just didn't sell that many of them, and then they're now selling these for way cheaper, because that would be really annoying. Anyway, who cares? It is a wonderful score to an absolutely brilliant film. If you haven't seen Dances with Wolves, then I would highly recommend that you watch it. The second record on this list, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen me post about the other day, but it's the score for the film Into the Wild by Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam. Between the ages of, say, 16, 17 till about 22, I loved this film and this story. Now, I still love the film, but the story of it I found so enchanting, as so many people did, and I was really inspired by it, and I wanted to go out and live in the wilderness and all of this stuff, as I'm sure so many people do who watch this film, because it's done very well. But I don't see it through such a sort of naive, idealistic lens as I did back then. However, I'm very glad to say that that doesn't affect my enjoyment of either the film itself or the music from it. Now, the film is told in such a good way. I think it's one of Sean Penn's best creations. The acting, the cinematography, it's just all done so well. And the thing is this is the kind of music that I bought this because of my sentimental attachment to the memories that I have associated with the era of my life when I first saw this. The first sort of 2 or 3 times I watched this, very quick succession. I just loved it, and I fell in love with it, and I like having that on vinyl. I like being able to know that I can put this on and kind of time travel a little bit back to a certain era where things weren't as complicated as they are now. It's a very wacky thing to say. Anyway, again, this is a gatefold sleeve, but they've done it right this time, and they've put a huge still of the Magic Bus right there. This whole sleeve is just really good quality. Now, it's a heavy record, but it's not a double LP. There's just a single 180 gram black record in here. The other thing that comes with it is what I would describe as probably being the best lyric booklet I've ever seen. Most of the pieces of music from the film do have lyrics, so this is very useful and helpful, but it's just the quality of this is so good, and the images are absolutely beautiful. And it's also got this really interesting passage here written by Sean Penn about, how he started the process of making the film. But yeah, I won't show all of the images in here, but the quality of the prints is just phenomenal. That's my favorite one. So that's record number 2. Now, the third and final record on this list is a bit of a weird one, because I haven't seen the film that it's from yet. I fully intend to. I'm just going to wait until it's out on Blu-ray in this country and buy it, because I've heard amazing things about it. But it's the last score on my list, and it's also the last score by the composer, because it is the soundtrack to Mandy by the late Johan Johansson. It'll be almost impossible to actually see on camera what this looks like because it's completely black, and then there's a spot gloss thing that says Mandy. It's the kind of the logo from the film. It looks a bit like a Norwegian black metal's band name. But yeah, this is the amazing score for a film that I'm sure will be equally good. I mentioned Johan Johansson a lot. I've got Orfeo and I've got his score for The Mercy on vinyl as well. He is a big sort of influence in my own music, and this sadly was the last full score that he worked on, and it was released posthumously, and it is some of the most beautiful, eerie, haunting, and at times brutal music that I've heard. And if you really want a taster of what this record is like, I'd highly recommend listening to the track Death and Ashes. That's the first track that I heard from it, and that's the track I was listening to it, and I was like, I'm gonna get this on vinyl. This record is sealed with one of these black sort of tape things, which in all honesty I find absolutely infuriating. I've got a few different records with one of these on, and they're always so difficult to get back on the record after you've taken them off. And what I really like about this record is that it's so just, you know, completely black, but then when you open it, you get this amazing red image just stand out. Included inside the sleeve are two things. You've got a general list of credits and information, and on the reverse side of which there's this very, very touching note that the director of the film wrote as a sort of dedication to Johan. And then the record itself, which is the only coloured record on this list, and it is a lovely transparent red colour. That's the logo that's on the front of the sleeve as well, and do you see what I mean about the Scandinavian metal reference? Wonderful, scary, eerie, and beautiful music all on this record. So there we have it. That's my list of the top 3 film scores that I own on vinyl, and it's a difficult decision to make, but all of the film scores I own are special to me. I was wondering, like, there are some scores that I would do anything to own on vinyl but have never been released in that format. So The Village is one of them. Now, think what you will about the film itself. The music for that by James Newton Howard, who's my favourite film composer, is just out of this world beautiful, and I'd be willing to pay way more than I did for the Dances with Wolves score to own that on vinyl, but it was never released. And I was wondering, do you have any things like that? Any albums or singles that you would kill to own on vinyl but were just never released in that format? And let me know if you've got any favourite film scores that you've got on vinyl. Let me know all of that down in the comments, and, you know, tell me that my music tastes shit again, that's fine. If anyone was interested in pre-ordering a vinyl copy of my own debut EP, Her, on Sky Blue 180 gram limited edition vinyl, then there'll be a link in the description to the pre-orders. Thank you again to those of you who already pre-ordered it. It's so, so cool. Wouldn't it be cool if I sold out of pre-orders before the records even arrive? That'd be fun, but I won't. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon.